Welcome to the Empowered Meaning Coaching Podcast Series. I'm your host, Louise and Maurice. You know I love hearing from you. So in the comment section, make sure that you're sharing your experience. And if this material is resonating with you, make sure you're giving it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who might benefit from it. Let's continue. Are people with integrity more confident? What do you think? Well, in this podcast, we are going to look at integrity and confidence. Remember, this is episode 2 in the Empowered Meaning Coaching Podcast series. And the meaning of integrity. Everyone has a different meaning. We're going to look at, yes, the dictionary definition. We're going to also look at something that's really important to understand. Then we're going to look at the integrity and confidence research, as well as lack of integrity, limiting beliefs, and then coaching integrity. How do you do that? And then I'm going to give you some free coaching questions, as well as give you some insight as to where you can find the free PDF download that accompanies this video. Here's some quick tip reminders. There's a lot of great information contained in this podcast. I don't want you to miss anything. So if you like to read as you listen to me, click on the CC to pull up the closed captions. This gear icon, when you click on it, this will pull up the settings. The playback speed is on normal. When you click on that, you can increase the speed to 2x, which will make this go quicker. Let's continue. This happened to me, and it might happen to you as well, but I was contacted by a company, and they wanted me to coach their managers and team leaders on the meaning of integrity and how to coach a team, employees that are filled with integrity, and everyone is just doing everything that they are supposed to be doing when they're supposed to be doing it. Because what they found was that during COVID, productivity decreased because they weren't in the office and they weren't being overseen and managed on the spot. So this might happen to you. The problem was no one was on the same page about the meaning of integrity. Everyone had a different meaning. Some people didn't even know what the word integrity meant. So that's why you always have to start with the meaning, what integrity means to you. So I want you to think about that right now when you think of the word integrity. What one word or phrase would you use to describe it? Now, I want you to keep that word in mind as I discuss the dictionary definition of integrity. The dictionary definition of integrity from the Cambridge Dictionary: the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles that you refuse to change. It also means being whole and complete, not divided or inconsistent. People with integrity act in line with their values and beliefs, regardless of the situation or the potential for personal gain or loss. Now, when I was asked to go in and coach the managers and team leads so that they would understand how to coach their teams, it was all about character traits. They were focused on developing those character traits so that they're aligned with the meaning of integrity, the meaning that they had of integrity. So what are those character traits? Well, the first one that didn't come to mind to the managers and team leads was authentic, right? But character traits of people who have integrity, they are authentic. They are true to themselves and do not pretend to be someone they are not. Now, how many times have you had someone say that, no, they want you to be who they say that you should be? And when you're acting authentic, well, that's just against. You're not filled with integrity. So this is where definitions and the meaning of integrity comes in. But the list of character traits, authentic. They tell the truth and do not lie or exaggerate. They value other people's time. They respect and appreciate the time of others and do not waste it or take it for granted. They give credit where it is due. They acknowledge and appreciate the contributions of others and do not take credit for what they did not do. They never take advantage of others. They do not exploit or manipulate others for their own benefit or harm them in any way. They do not argue over disagreements. They respect different opinions and perspectives and do not engage in conflicts or insults. Now, you can understand why a company would want their managers and team leaders to be able to identify and coach their teams, their employees, the people that work in the community to have more integrity, because people that don't have integrity, they apparently get into more conflicts. And this is where you want people who can engage. Yes, they have different opinions and perspectives, but it's not something that they look at someone else and say, hey, you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm right, you're wrong. No, they give people the benefit of the doubt. They assume the best of others and do not judge them harshly or unfairly. They know when something is bothering someone. They are empathetic and sensitive to the feelings and needs of others and try to help them if they can. They are accountable. They take responsibility for their actions and mistakes and try to learn and improve from them. They are grateful. They appreciate the good things in life and do not take them for granted or complain about them. They have empathy. They can understand and share the emotions of others and show compassion and kindness. They are loyal, they are faithful and trustworthy to their friends, family, and commitments and do not betray or abandon them. They are humble. They do not boast or brag about themselves or their achievements and do not think they are better than others. So these are just some of the common characteristics of people who have true integrity. However, integrity is not a fixed or rigid concept, but rather a personal and dynamic one. Different people may have different definitions and standards of integrity. Different people may have different definitions and standards depending on their values, beliefs, and experiences. Therefore, it is important to respect and appreciate the diversity and complexity of human integrity. All right, so now that you know the dictionary definitions of integrity and some of the values and character traits that people with integrity have, how close was the dictionary definition to the one word or phrase that you used to describe integrity? Yeah, most people I find will say honest. They just want people to be honest and upfront. They want people to tell them and what's right, what's going on, and they want people to show up and be themselves. Yes, that authentic part of it. But they want people to be loyal. Loyalty was a big one. All right, now from the dictionary definition of integrity, I want you to think of people you know who fit the description. Do you fit the description? Do your coworkers fit the description? Does your spouse, significant other fit the description? Are you raising kids that are filled with integrity? You maybe have one child that is, one child that isn't. Well, as you listen to the research coming up next, it will help you gain insight and perspective. But before we get to that research, let's look deeper at the meaning of integrity, what it is and what it is not, as well as some myths associated with it. Now, remember that integrity is the quality of being honest and consistent with one's moral and ethical principles and values. It means acting in accordance with one's beliefs and standards, even when no one is watching or judging. How many of you in my coaching courses, I always say, who are you when no one is watching? That is integrity. You know, I'm a firm believer in that, especially if you are going to coach others, consult, lead, manage others, then you have to walk your talk. You can't just be trying to get people to develop more integrity if you are not coming from that place. So always think of that. Who are you when no one is watching? Now, here's the thing though, integrity is not the same as self-righteousness, hypocrisy, or perfectionism. Integrity involves humility, courage, and compassion. So here are some common myths associated with integrity. Myth number 1, integrity means that you keep your word no matter what. Well, reality, integrity means that you try to keep your word, but if you cannot, you are honest about it. Honesty seems to be at the basis of integrity, because sometimes circumstances change or you realize that you made a mistake. People of integrity admit their errors and apologize when necessary. They do not make promises they cannot keep or lie to cover up their failures. Myth number 2, integrity means that you keep all of your commitments. Well, in reality, integrity means that you prioritize your commitments and honor the most important ones, but sometimes you may have conflicting or competing obligations. People of integrity evaluate their options and choose the ones that align with their values and goals. They do not overcommit or neglect their own well-being. Myth number 3, integrity means always doing the right thing. In reality, integrity means always trying to do the right thing, but acknowledging that you may not always know what that is. Sometimes you may face ethical dilemmas or ambiguous situations. People of integrity seek guidance, feedback, and perspective from others, but they do not assume that they have all the answers or that their way is the only way. All right, myth number 4. Integrity means you are always openly honest and transparent with others. Well, in reality, integrity means you are respectful and appropriate with others. Sometimes you may need to withhold or limit information for confidentiality, privacy, or safety reasons. People of integrity communicate clearly and effectively, but they also consider the context and the consequences of their words. They do not disclose sensitive or personal information without consent or reason. Myth number 5, integrity means always being authentic and never faking it to make it. Well, in reality, this final myth number 5, sometimes you're always true to yourself, yes, and your values, but having integrity means that you're also adaptable and flexible. Sometimes you may need to adjust your behavior or attitude to fit different situations or expectations. People of integrity are open to learning and growing, but they also maintain their core identity and integrity. They do not pretend to be someone they are not or compromise their principles. All right, now that you know the meaning of integrity, you've connected with what your meaning of integrity is. We also know the character traits of people that have integrity, and we've also learned about the myths of integrity, what it is, what it isn't, and in reality, how people truly adjust. You don't have to be perfect just because you want to have integrity or more integrity. But now it's time to look at integrity and confidence research. Remember, we're looking at answering that question. Are people with integrity confident? Are they more confident than people that don't have integrity? All right, let's look at that research next. Integrity and confidence research. A lot of researchers believe that the meaning of integrity is formed in childhood through various influences such as family, school, and culture. In healthy ways, children can learn integrity by observing positive role models, receiving moral education, and experiencing the benefits of honesty and trustworthiness. You might be shaking your head. Yes, I agree with those researchers. Now, in unhealthy or distorted ways, children can develop a lack of integrity by witnessing dishonesty, inconsistency, or avoidance of accountability, or by being rewarded or pressured to lie, cheat, or manipulate. 3 situations that can trigger people when they have distorted views of integrity are when they're facing a dilemma or a conflict of interest where they have to choose between doing what is right and doing what is easy or beneficial for themselves or others. Being exposed or confronted for their lack of integrity, where they have to face the consequences or the criticism of their actions or words. Encountering someone who has more integrity than them, where they feel threatened, inferior, or resentful of the other person's moral standards or achievements. And this is where, for a lot of people, when you're working with people, this is what you see. You see the outward manifestation of this internal trigger happening. When they're triggered and they go back to exactly how they dealt with these behaviors when they were a child. And that's where the conflict comes in. Because the main fear that people experience when they don't conduct their life with integrity is the fear of losing something valuable, such as respect, trust, reputation, relationships, or opportunities. They may also fear being rejected, judged, or punished by others or themselves. So hence the reason why they're always trying to cover up. The belief that comes from those fears is that deep down inside, they feel they're not good enough. They're not worthy or deserving of what they have or what they want. They may also believe that they have to lie or manipulate to get ahead, to avoid discomfort or conflict, or to protect themselves or others. The feelings they experience when they lack integrity are often negative and unpleasant, such as guilt, shame, anxiety, anger, or regret. They may also feel disconnected, lonely, or unhappy as they are not living authentically or harmoniously with their true self or with others. Now, the behaviors and defense mechanisms that they use as protective measures are usually aimed at avoiding or escaping the negative feelings or consequences of their lack of integrity. This may include lying, cheating, stealing, or breaking promises, shifting blame, making excuses, or rationalizing their actions, denying, suppressing, or repressing the truth or their feelings, projecting, displacing, or deflecting their own faults or issues onto others. Now, these behaviors and defense mechanisms, remember always that these are protective measures. They might avoid, withdrawal, or isolate themselves from others or situations, act out. They might be aggressive or have temper tantrums. Researchers also found that people who have integrity are respectful. Respect is a feeling or attitude of admiration, appreciation for someone or something. It's also a way of treating others with dignity and courtesy. Some signs of respect are listening attentively and actively to what others have to say, valuing and acknowledging others' opinions, feelings, and perspectives, expressing gratitude and appreciation for others' contributions and efforts, being honest, polite, and considerate in your words and actions, following through on your promises and commitments, apologizing sincerely when you make a mistake or hurt someone, respecting others' boundaries and preferences, avoiding insults, judgments, or criticisms that could harm others' self-esteem, giving others the space and time they need, supporting others' growth and well-being. Now, respect is important for building trust, harmony, and cooperation in relationships. It also helps people to feel valued, respected, and confident in themselves. So you understand that respect is an integral part of when you're trying to have a community of integrity. Respect is important with honesty. All right, so according to some other research, people who lack integrity may have less confidence than people who have integrity because they are more likely to experience guilt, shame, and anxiety. They may also have more confidence than people who have integrity because they are more likely to rationalize, justify, and deny their wrongdoings. It depends on how integrity and confidence are measured and what aspects of them are considered. So I pause there because it's always important. When I'm training my coaches, I'm always telling them context. It's always important to understand context and measurement, those benchmarks. But confidence that is based on integrity is always more beneficial as it develops a healthy self-esteem that engages in values-based action for a greater good. For example, one study found that people who scored high on a measure of moral identity, which involves having moral values as a central part of one's self-concept, had higher self-esteem and self-efficacy than people who scored low on it. Another study found that people who scored high on a measure of moral disengagement, which involves detaching oneself from moral standards and consequences, had higher self-esteem and self-efficacy than people who scored low on it. Therefore, the relationship between integrity and confidence is not straightforward, but rather depends on the type and degree of integrity, as well as the context and situation. People who lack integrity may have more or less confidence than people who have integrity, depending on how they cope with their moral dilemmas and how they perceive themselves and others. However, confidence that is based on lack of integrity is not healthy or sustainable, as it can lead to unethical behavior and social problems that escalate and are exponential. However, confidence that is based on integrity, as I'd mentioned before, it's more beneficial and fulfilling, and it can foster moral behavior and social trust. All right, so as we're wrapping up this integrity and confidence research, I want you to remember that all of this research is being shared with you not so that you judge people, but so that you understand. When it gives you context, especially when I was talking about the protective behaviors and those defense mechanisms. If this is the type of behavior that you're experiencing or you're asked to coach, or maybe you personally, or you're dealing with people, when you understand the origin of this behavior, the thought patterns, you can be authentically compassionate without taking their actions and behaviors personally. This is very important. And without labeling them. All right, we want to stay away from labeling. All right, as we continue on, we're going to talk about people who lack integrity and specifically look at what their limiting beliefs are. Limiting beliefs are thoughts or states of mind that people think are the absolute truth and guide them to certain actions that are aligned with those beliefs, or stop them from doing certain things that are not aligned with that belief. For example, someone who lacks integrity may have been told that repeatedly as a child. You lack integrity. You think about a child. They have no idea at that time what that word integrity means. So all of a sudden, they're linking their behavior, the fact that they're being punished, and they're linking and trying to make sense of all of this. And all they know is that they're repeatedly being told, you lack integrity. And with each repeat, this belief gets grooved into their memory. So whatever meaning is attached to lack of integrity, they attach to that belief, such as dishonesty. If they were caught doing something dishonest, if they lied, if they cheated, if they stole, that's the belief that they have. And all of a sudden, that becomes who they think they are. That behavior, that belief that they're dishonest, and this belief determines their behavior on and on and on. Well, I lack integrity, so this is just who I am. And you know, people like that, we talked about that earlier. They're always making those excuses. And they'll engage in activities that are dishonest or tell lies to avoid people knowing the truth about them. All right, so always be thinking about that. Now, other beliefs, they're always right and others are always wrong. People with lack of integrity may be arrogant, stubborn, or dogmatic, and they may refuse to listen to or respect other perspectives or opinions. They can get away with anything. That's what they believe. People with lack of integrity may be deceitful, manipulative, or exploitive, and they may think that they can cheat, lie, or break the rules without facing any consequences. They don't need anyone. People with lack of integrity may be selfish, isolated, or distrustful, and they may think that they can achieve their goals without relying on or collaborating with others. These limiting beliefs, however, can cause people with lack of integrity to behave in harmful and unethical ways, such as disrespecting, betraying, or hurting others. All right, so now that you understand the limiting beliefs, how do you coach people who lack integrity? Well, let's look at that next. Coaching integrity. Coaching people who lack integrity, that can be very challenging as they may not be honest, trustworthy, or respectful of themselves or others, or as you, as the coach, they may also resist or reject your feedback or advice or sabotage their own success. Some possible causes of lack of integrity are low self-awareness, insecurity, fear of failure, or moral confusion. Providing moral education and guidance or referring the client to you, what you can do, that's important. Now, you've always got to start by establishing clear and mutual expectations and boundaries at the beginning of the coaching relationship. Now, when I say coaching, you can be in any position where you're working with people, and this could be self-coaching as well. So just always making sure that you're being very, very clear and having them understand the mutual expectations. Because if they lack integrity, it's because they've really never been directed. However, it's about understanding their meaning of integrity as well. You come to the relationship with one meaning of integrity, they come to the relationship with another meaning. So you always have to start at the beginning, and that's why I always start with the meaning so that everyone is clear and everyone understands each other. Now, you always want to build rapport and trust with the client by being authentic, empathetic, and respectful. Always use active listening and reflective feedback to understand the client's situation, needs, and goals, and help the client explore their values, beliefs, and ethics, and how they affect their behavior and decisions. Challenge the client to take responsibility for their actions and consequences and to learn from their mistakes. Now, let's talk about 5 coaching questions that you can use to help people who lack integrity to develop more integrity. You want that first question to always be, what are your core values? And this is important because a lot of times people don't even understand what their core values are. And they might not realize that these core values, they direct their behavior. And if they don't value honesty and they don't value respect, it's because that is not a part of who they are and they don't see the value in that. So you might have to start with the meaning of integrity, go back and list those character traits and how that can benefit them, because it's very important. And it's not about getting them to change. You don't want them to think that they're wrong. You want them to move in a direction and embrace character traits that are going to support them and help them develop in a way that is going to benefit them. All right. So always come from that place of, hey, I got you. I'm here because I want to support you. And you are so fantastic in so many areas, but these are the areas that might be holding you back. And understanding what your core values are, that's important. That's an important benchmark to start from. All right, question number 2. How do you define integrity for yourself? Well, I talked about that and how the meaning is important. And some people seriously do not know the definition of integrity. And they don't necessarily understand it because it was never taught to them. And especially people who they were role modeled lack of integrity. So to them, that's normal and natural. So always come from that place of non-judgment when you are working with people, because it's just a matter of how they have connected with these behaviors. The behaviors that define lack of integrity, if that feels normal and natural to them, then the next question, that third question, is, how does lack of integrity impact others? And especially if they are having a challenging time in any type of relationships, or it's impacting their success in their career, and even if it's impacting their health, because they keep saying that they want to get healthy, but they keep engaging in activities that are not aligned with what they say. So that is a lack of integrity. They are not respecting their own word. So regardless of the type of coach you are, that you want to guide people so that they truly can develop a sense of integrity so that they can achieve their goals. All right, that fourth question, how do your actions reflect your values? Again, going back to those core values. And sometimes these are the benchmarks that people need because they haven't had an opportunity to focus on their values. They've been told by organizations, they've been told by the systems that they are in, whether it be their family systems, the education systems, their cultural system, what values that they should have, but they haven't connected with them. So if they're told you're bad, you're this, any kind of label that they've been given, they don't understand because they haven't had an opportunity to develop their own values. So how do your actions reflect your values? It's always about going back to those values. All right, the fifth and final question, how do you feel when you act with integrity? And how do you feel when you don't? Remember, I always say that for some people, acting with integrity doesn't feel normal and natural to them. Acting without integrity does. So you want them to understand the meaning of two and how acting with integrity can help them get a lot further in life in a sustainable way. Remember, it's long-term, it's sustainable, and it's going to support them. It's going to help them to be confident in an authentic and real way, and they don't have to hide behind a mask of defense mechanisms, and they don't have to always be in protective defense mode, because then that's just living in that fight, flight, or even sometimes freeze mode. And they're not living to their full potential. So I get excited when I talk about this because when you're in a position to develop your own integrity and then guide others to do the same, it really is a very empowering place to be in. So those 5 questions, when put into action, will guide people, guide yourself. But I want you to keep listening because I'm going to let you know where you can download 5 more specific and powerful questions that will help you coach integrity. Well, that's a wrap for this podcast. Hopefully you've been sharing your experience in the comments section. I want to hear from you. You bring with you so much valuable insight. And if this podcast, what you've been listening to, if it resonated with you, make sure you give it a thumbs up as well. Share with people who can benefit from it. If you are not a subscriber, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so you're notified when the next podcast drops. I am your podcast host, Louise and Maurice, and I appreciate that you've spent your valuable time with me. As promised, I'm going to share with you where you can find the valuable PDF document with the rest of the coaching questions on it. You want to go to my website, louiseandmaurice.com, and you want to click on free or hover your mouse over free, and you see all of these resources that I have for you. Free coaching training, coaching questions, empowered mindset. The last one, What Should I Do?, which was the Empowered Prevention series. And now Coaching Podcast. You want to click on Coaching Podcast, and that will take you to the free resources associated with Season 1 of the Coaching Podcast.